going back and reviewing, watching the game from Saturday, let's start offensively. I thought Taylor played really well. You know, we had no turnovers. He took care of the ball, made a really good decision down there right before half. You know, we had no timeouts. There was a potential he could run it in there, but we had no timeouts. If he didn't make it, linebacker was coming on him, coming to tackle him a little bit. He made a good decision to throw that one. I thought our offensive line, you know, the 2 sacks were not on the offensive line. We had a mental error in the backfield on the first one. The second one we protected well. It was more of a coverage sack there. And it was really, really nice to end with 2 scores in a 4-minute span right before half, and then come out and have 2 3-and-outs defensively and score both times there. So I was pleased there offensively with all the different guys catching the ball, and then defensively we have to have more production out of our linebackers. We need to play better there. We need to play better on the D-line. We didn't have the production that we need there after the first drive. I thought our secondary settled in, and you know, we had 6 missed assignments there early in the first drive, and then we cut a tight end loose in the second drive, and that was from the linebacker position as well. So we've got to get those things cleaned up, which they did during the game, but I thought our special teams played extremely well. No penalties in that group, which is hard to do any game, let alone the first game. So we did some things good with limiting penalties, and certainly threw and caught the ball and protected well. We've got a lot of work to do, which is good to win and have a lot of work to do as well. You know, a lot of times you'll improve from week 1 to 2. It's good that we can improve on a win. Playing Arkansas State, very talented, a lot of speed, very talented quarterback, guy that, you know, he maybe could have been sacked Saturday 4, 5 times, never got sacked and got out of it. And it wasn't just one guy he made miss, it was several, and then he'd make a play off of that. So Rayner, he's a really good quarterback. They've got speed. They like to get the ball on the edge, whether it be throwing, running. They have a little option package in there as well, and have a lot of speed with Rucker, and he's a really good player. And I like their wideouts. I like their tight ends, both of them. So they're explosive, got a good running back. They're explosive on offense. Obviously, they've won several games over their last 8 or 9 games. I think they've won 6 or 7, 6 of them or something like that. Defensively, multiple, play very hard. Their interior guys do a really good job of pushing the pocket. We've got to be aware of that. They have some nice schematics that they threw in. Once Southeast had made a run on them, went down and scored on them. They had fast and quick adjustments defensively that shut them down. And and their field goal kicker hardly ever misses, and they've got a good punt returner and a good kickoff returner. So got a really good team. Coach has done a really good job over there, taking over there and steadily just winning more and more games. So we have high respect for their coach and their team, and looking forward to going to Little Rock.
I'm guessing on that sack you were talking about, was that Mike supposed to pick up that
Mike
blitzer and then go out?
Mike had the linebacker. Yeah.
What do you think about the work you did with at right guard, right tackle? Marion worked at left guard just a little bit when Fernando went out also. What did you think about the mix-ups that y'all had over there?
I liked it, except, you know, we had a couple of MAs out there on pass protection when we made that move, and that can't happen. Other than that, I think we started who we should have started, but we also needed to get those reps in there. But we can't have mental errors. It'll kill us, and that's what happened when we made that change a couple of times, and it was both in pass protection with the blitz coming off the edge.
Since Arkansas State has Bush Jones back and everything, I assume you guys put a little bit of work in maybe the spring or in fall camp, looking at them. How much, I guess, has maybe changed from what you saw with game one versus what y'all put in, and how much work did you put in?
We've in different segments of practice, we've worked on them for about 5 days in different segments. Not the complete entire practice, but we certainly know it's a big game, and we want to be ready for it, and felt like we needed to do that. Similarities are very strong. They have changed a little bit or added a little bit, but from what we thought we would see from film study, obviously they've got some new people coaching. There's a lot of similarities in what we thought we were going to see.
I know it was limited snaps, but the freshman defensive tackles, did you see anything from them that you liked?
Both of them, yeah. Kevin Otis and Vaughn. I like both of them. It was limited action, but hell, Vaughn had 2 tackles, and KO had one, and so I think we've got to continue to develop those guys. I know your question was about the 2 young guys, but I thought Caleb Wooden played a really good game. I think he's earned more snaps, and I thought Smalls did the same, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's not somebody had to play. Nobody has to play bad for someone to play good. You know what I mean? And but yeah, I think we've got to continue to work Otis and Vaughn more and more, especially with Okie being out here, to see if we can't get them in the rotation when the game matters.
Shakur obviously did some, the strip sack, the recovery, things that really stood out. I'm curious. You mentioned Caleb. What was he able to do that maybe caught your eye?
He's a veteran. He's played some ball, and he plays extremely hard. And he seems to be, in other words, it's like anything, consistency, playing hard, effort will make you trust somebody. And he did that before this game, but he's in the right spots. He plays extremely hard, and he'll hit you. He can tackle in the open field. And those are things that we saw Saturday.
Entering this week, you kind of joked about it on Saturday. It's not really a rivalry. You haven't played each other, but an in-state foe. Both programs have so much history. I mean, is it a weird week, kind of, as you enter this, just with the emotions involved?
Well, I think certainly we're the ones with the pressure on us. I wouldn't think that they would have it. That's the reason I'm assuming it's the first time we've ever played, because most of the time it would be our decision whether to play that game or not, So certainly we have high respect for their program. I don't think there's a ton of Arkansas kids, to be totally honest, on their team nor on ours, So I think the rivalry goes from it's the first game and it's the fans, and it is. But we certainly understand the importance of the game. And it's closer to Jonesboro to Little Rock is than we are. And so I hope that it's packed and that it's exciting and it's the state playing each other. I think we've only played another in-state rivalry or another in-state team maybe 3 times. It hadn't, maybe 1934 I think we played, and 43 maybe. But I think those have all been since I've been the head coach. But certainly Arkansas State's a different story, and certainly a lot better football team than, with all due respect, than the other guys we played in the state. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get this game as it being the first time we've ever played, and I'm glad I'm going to be part of the history of that.
So another Little Rock question. What would you see as maybe any advantages of playing there, and then maybe the challenges of having to go to Little Rock and play a game? And then part two, there's no other game scheduled in Little Rock. Do you see a scenario where it comes back up again?
I don't know that there's any advantage for us, you know, in all honesty, to go to Little Rock and play Arkansas State. You know, it's closer for them. You know, it's like when we used to go over there and play Mississippi State. It's closer for them, you know. I just don't know that there's going to be 20, 30,000 people less, but from what I understand, it hadn't been packed since I've been a head coach, and hopefully this one is, and it's as loud as Peyton Manning says it is over there. You know, we sure would like that to be the case, but future-wise, you know, I don't really have a lot of say-so in that. You know, the game's been over there. History, you know, I still think history of the power of the Hogs in our state is a bunch of it is because we would take the team over to Little Rock. And, you know, there were certainly different times then, you know, less hotels, less television, you know, where the Hogs could go over there and people could drive up and see the Hogs play and turn around and go home. Obviously, it didn't work out so much, you know, driving from Northwest Arkansas over there, but they could still do it. Obviously, the stadium was much better than the one we had here in those days. So there's a lot of things have changed. Television has changed. Guys, it's changed everything in college football. So I don't know what the advantage of it is going over there except for the passion of the state for the Hogs. And going over there, I think, certainly continues that in the state of Arkansas.
And I'm sure you've got some kind of relationship with Butch Jones. What do you make of him as a coach and as a fellow coach in the state?
Well, I think he's done a really good job, really good job. They've got a good team now. I mean, they've got a lot of speed, and they play extremely hard, and they're well coached. I mean, that's not coach speak. That's the truth. You turn the film on, they've got a nice football team, and that ultimately goes, you know, through the head coach and the process and all that. And he started, you know, he just kept building, and now they've got one of the top teams in their league over there. And you know, I've known Coach Jones for a long time. I was at Tennessee. Well, for about 2 days, you know, when he got the head coaching job, one waiting to talking to him and one when I did talk to him, and then I'd be about the end of it. But good Lord works in mysterious ways. I was fortunate enough to get the O-line job at Arkansas. And but that's that. And, of course, since he's been, you know, I was here first, you know, before he was at Alabama at the time. And then once he got the Arkansas State job, of course, we've run into each other in different venues and always very respectful, have a lot of respect for him.
You mentioned not a lot of in-state kids on either side. Is it still an effective motivational tool to kind of talk to your team about the in-state first-time opponent and all of that, or is it better to just treat it like another game?
I think we'd be foolish not to understand the magnitude of the first time in the history of both programs that were played. It's in the state. I mean, you can go play Maine if you've never played Maine, and it's not going to have the same effect as Arkansas State. But at the same time, we have to get better. Our team has to get better. We did some really good things, and we've got things to work on. So I think we'll be more concerned about the things we didn't do well, how we can get that fixed, and then we'll have to at some point address what this game means to the state of Arkansas, the importance.
I know we don't expect to see David Oki this weekend, but are you thinking after this weekend, or what's kind of the status on him?
Well, we have meetings every day, and he was one of the topics for this morning. He seems to be doing really well. He will not be ready this week, but to get him back by Ole Miss, we'll see. But I think there's a possibility. Now, what that is, I don't know, but I think there's more of a possibility that may happen than what I maybe thought last week.
And kind of follow up on that with Antonio Jordan. I think he had the high ankle.
Yeah.
What's his status?
I think Antonio's going to be, 3 weeks probably from now. It was a non-physical. I mean, foot caught in the ground, and he was trying to catch a ball, but it was a serious high ankle sprain. Those are usually about a 4-week recovery especially at that position. You might can get back a little earlier as an offensive lineman or something like that, but at that position. So I'm still going to tell you probably 3 weeks from today.
And I think after the game you may have said something about Taylor, how you just want him to play football when it comes to decisions to run and when to take hits and everything. Is there a balancing act there of like, hey, you don't want him to take too many hits, stay healthy, after what y'all saw happen last year?
The last year's deal was a fluke. The guy was tripping, or however you want to say it, and hit him low. We want him to be smart. We're trying not to get him to run over people, but we also are on a program where we're really encouraging running out of bounds either. I have 3 clips to show today, 3 of effort, and one of them is 3rd and 11 where he turned up the sideline and stretched out and made the first down. That's how I want him to play, whatever that is, and it inspires the team. I still go back to the Auburn game last year when he hurdled the guy. It inspires the football team. And of course, another clip was one of Ashton No. That was incredible, man. I mean, it really was incredible. And then on defense, we had when we got into our 3rd down package and we had the sack on there. But we want him to stay healthy because he gives us a chance every week. And but I've always said guys that are playing not to get hurt are also playing not to get drafted, and it's the truth. I mean, that's just, I don't want to get hurt. Well, you don't want to get drafted either, because if that's the main thing on your mind, you're not. You got to go play the football game, and you got to be on video making plays that other people don't, or they're not going to draft you. And so that's kind of how we try to coach all of them. And most listen, some don't get drafted. That's just how it is.
You said you overlapped with Butch Jones for a couple of days at Tennessee and had a talk with him. Did you talk to him about staying there? Or did you kind of already know you got the opportunity at Arkansas, or what was that conversation like?
Well, he had a really good offensive line coach at Cincinnati, and so I had figured that he would keep him and or invite him, whatever the word is, and I had 2 meetings set up the next day. Coach Bielema was flying in to talk to me and Jim Chaney, and I had ironically, Tommy Tupperville had gone to Cincinnati, and I had an interview with Coach. After that, I had a meeting with Brett the next day in the morning, and then headed to Cincinnati that evening to interview for that job. And then Coach Bielema hired me, 2 or 3 days after that.
This week, the depth chart for the right side of the offensive line stayed the same. How does Kobe's bright day on Saturday kind of change your take to the open competition on the right side?
And I still think we've got to prepare, like we did. But I think Kobe played well, and but I still think we've got to continue to develop guys that we feel like we can win SEC games with, and so I don't know if there'll be a huge change in how we approach next week than we did last week.
The right side, I mean, Kobe's from Arkansas, Amarian's from Arkansas. I know it maybe might be slim, but have any of the Arkansas guys maybe talked to you, or have you overheard the excitement for them for playing an in-state game like this?
That's a good question. Not as of now. You know, we haven't had our meeting yet, and of course Mondays are cleaning up from Saturday, which is big. We have to take our time to clean all that up. We got to get better, and then proceed into this week. But no, I haven't seen them, so they haven't. They may, but I haven't seen them, so I don't. They have not yet.
Sam, earlier you mentioned that all the pressure is on Arkansas this week for this game, and it seems like it's a scenario where Arkansas State has everything to gain, nothing to lose, and maybe the vice versa for Arkansas. Why did you feel it was important to put Arkansas State on the schedule?
Well, I was asked, you know, and to be honest with you, I was asked my first year here, and it was, you know, we'd like for you to play Arkansas State in 2025 in Little Rock. And to be honest with you, I'd just gotten a job here, and I'd have played anybody. I was the head coach at Arkansas, and then it was 6 years away, and I'm like, well, if I'm still here, you know, it'd be okay. But no, I mean, those are things. Most scheduling things are so far in advance, you know, and you don't really know who you're. If you're scheduling this team at this time, they may be, especially now in the NIL area, the revenue sharing area, they may have changed totally, you know. So, but I was asked, and I said, absolutely, that'd be good. And to be honest with you, I thought that it would be a lot of decisions you make are for the state of Arkansas. I mean, you want to make you do, and I know we let them down at times, and I know at times we make them happy. But I thought it would be good for the state if that happened, and so that's kind of why I said okay.
And real quick, you mentioned the perfect game you guys played in special teams this week. As far as I know, no muff punts, no bad snaps. You know, every kick was made. What do you contribute to just playing that kind of game, and how much it seems like you guys have improved overall in that area?
I think, you know, first of all, I think, you know, having Scott with me for now going on 6 years, that matters. The ones that do return are retaining the verbiage, you know, the expectations. But I also want to say this, you can have the greatest guys on there that can cover a kick. You can have the greatest protection on field goal. You can have the greatest protection on punt. But if you don't have a punter, a kicker, and a returner, you don't have great special teams. You just don't. And Scott is really good about evaluating kickers and punters. He just is. You know, he's got two of them starting in the NFL right now from here. And, you know, Scott Starsick did a wonderful job as a true freshman out there. Devin Bell is really good at punting. We've got can cover, you know, and Scott went out and got Shanks. Now, he also is a good receiver, but he's also a really good punt returner. So I think those things have helped, and I think Scott deserves a lot of credit for going out and finding the guys that can change special teams, and seem to hit on the guys that he wants.
You mentioned earlier more production from the defensive line. What specifically do you want to, like, is it interior, on the edge, overall? Just what do you want to see this week maybe improve?
Well, we just didn't have any production. You know, when you look at it and you look at tackles, and Vaughn may have had the most tackles on the D line. We need more production. When you look at there and you look at the linebackers, we're not playing downhill, and you know, we've got to do some things. If that's what it's going to be, we've got to do some things defensively that are moving them. We've got to do some more things because we do have guys that can run in there, but they've got to play better. They've got to get in the right gaps. You know, that's the simplest answer. Be where you're supposed to be. But you know, we saw some flashes, but flashes aren't enough. And so we've got to be physical. We've got to knock people back. Some things that, and their line was big now. I'll give them credit there, but I didn't feel the disruption from the front seven that we should have had, respectfully, with Alabama A&M.
And with Rayner, his escapability, what's the biggest
Crazy.
emphasis in practice to make sure those could be sacks do turn into sacks?
Well, we got to get him on the ground. I mean, you know, every time you get back there, you know, you want to knock hell out of the guy. You know what I mean? This one right here, if you do that, he's gonna make you miss. Now you've got to open field tackle the guy in the pocket. I mean, that's what you have to do, because he's proved that it's not just one guy missed him. Now they had 2 or 3 times when he made 2 or 3 guys miss in the pocket, and so our biggest thing is if we can get back there, we got to get him on the ground. And that's the, you know, the knockout shot, or the, you know, all that kind of stuff that you have when you have a quarterback. You know, you have a flamingo lawn art, you know, back there just standing there. You can knock that guy out, but this ain't the guy. We got to figure out how to get him down on the ground.
Rohan Jones started. I think he came out after the first play, but I don't know if you told me 10 guys were going to catch a pass and one wasn't him.
You'd say one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, to be perfectly honest with you. To his credit, you know, we did have specific throws for him to be the first read, and for whatever reason didn't work out. But for him, he played extremely hard, did a good job blocking as well. You know, a lot of times you're new, you're coming from another school, you're out here, and all I want to do is catch balls, you know, and if I don't, I'm going to go to the pouting section, wherever that is. He did not do that, and he played extremely hard through. Trey, we think he's really a big-time offensive weapon, and I'm with you. We had talked about that well as a staff, that he's a guy that we feel like certainly is capable of stretching the field and doing some wonderful things. It just didn't happen for him, but it's not because we didn't try to get him the ball, and we have a lot of confidence in him, and I believe he'll get his statistics, his catches over the weeks.
Larry Worth moved around quite a bit. What do you think about his play and the way you guys utilized him?
Yeah, you know, I think Larry ran the field well. He was solid with his assignments. I think, you know, it all depends a little bit with Caleb, how Caleb comes around too. But, you know, if we can keep Larry a little bit more in just one spot, if we can keep him there, because we're practicing different too with him, I think he will continue to grow and improve, but I thought he did a good job of tackling as well.
What's that one spot? He played a lot of them.
Well, he's probably the middle safety. He's probably not the boundaries. He's probably the middle safety. Depends on what we do with Wooden, I think, too.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend gives you a chance to get your eye maybe on a few other games, like including Notre Dame. I'm wondering if you saw anything from some of your upcoming opponents over the weekend that stood out to you.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of really good teams on our schedule. I saw that, you know. They did. They looked, you know, there was good looking opponents that we have. You know, I don't really watch a lot of games if we're not going to play them. You know, and a lot of good teams in the SEC. You know, obviously the Texas game was a defensive battle there, two really good teams, and then Notre Dame last night was certainly two really talented football teams out there, and somebody had to lose, you know. And then you go through the league and South Carolina winning, and you know we don't play Alabama, you know, Georgia. So looking through the guys that we play, that seems like there's a whole lot of good football teams out there, big and physical, with a lot of great athletes.
Other than Mike's pass pro miss, well, what did you see overall from all the running backs? Pass pro, running, everything.
I thought they ran hard. I liked the way Mike played with the ball in his hand. I think he averaged about 9 yards a carry or something close to that. Braylon ran extremely hard. I think there was a couple of reads that I wish we had back. Stay in front side on a lead ISO play, but he ran hard and he finished forward, very engaged in the game. And then Rodney coming in didn't have as much room to run, but we've got to go get the yards that are there. But I was pleased with that. And then when AJ and Settles came in, I thought they ran extremely hard. Settles, I don't think, only had one opportunity. I don't know if AJ's was more than one, too, but both of them running to the left, and both of them ran hard. So, you know, I think it's Mike, Braylon, and then Rodney in that order, and that's how we went into the game.
Have you got a favorite Little Rock moment that you recall, either as assistant or in your head coaching here?
You know, when I was here as an assistant, we didn't fare so well over there, and well, I don't think we fared at all. You know, if I recall, yeah, we did. Somebody I can't remember. No, I think I forget who we played. It was our bye week, and it was in 21. I forget who it was over there. Was it UAPB the first time? And I think we were up. I don't know. We were up in the plan because it was our bye week, and we wanted to stay healthy going into the bye and all that. And we were up at half, and we were able to do that. It was a little bit of a nightmare in special teams, but we played really well over there in that first half. And then, of course, last year we did too. But we didn't have a lot of fond memories when I was assistant here. I don't know that I'm not positive we won over there. All right. Thank you, guys.